The National Collaborative for Health Equity invites you to listen to part one of a two-part conversation about storytelling and collective healing, tending to our humanity.
So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in with us. My name is Stefanie Tovar, and I am joined here by my lovely comrade of Coley. Would you mind saying your name in the space, please?
Oh, of course, Stephanie. Hello, I'm Maria Dautruche.
Yes, and we are so delighted to be here with you all to join in conversation around storytelling and collective healing, tending to our humanity. In this episode, we're going to be discussing wellness, trauma, collective healing and liberation, grief, storytelling, and so much more. And we hope that you get to know more about us throughout this conversation. And we look forward to and hope to be in conversation and get to learn more about you as well. And so, with that said, we do want to have an opportunity for us to ground and gather together. So we're going to offer you an experience right now. So I invite you all to, if you are able, to join me in closing down the eyes. When we do this, we're tuning out all of the out there and joining in the right here, right now. And can you at this moment be present with what is below your feet? Maybe this means the socks holding your feet, or your feet touching concrete, your feet touching carpet, whatever it is, tapping into that connection of earth below you. Maybe you even uplift one foot and then the other, tapping at the earth and saying, yes, I see you. We are here together. How beautiful, what a gift it is that we get to be here together. And wherever you are tuning in from, even if it is a land that you're not familiar with, let us all get curious about the stewards of this land. Who are the stewards of this land that you are practicing tuning in from? Perhaps you can charge the air around you and speak their names into the space, a way to offer some reverence and some grounding. I see you. I am not looking away. I acknowledge you. And then can our spines lift up high, their shoulders melt on down, releasing all of the exterior, all the external forces, all of the out there, so we can tap in right here, right now, to that sacred sovereignty that resides within our spines. Can our crowns rise up as we remember our ancestors, gathering them here, all the benevolent ancestors? Perhaps you can charge the air right here, right now, speak their names into this space. And not only can we champion the bloodline ancestors, we can expand and consider the ancestors of the movement as well. Ancestors of thought leadership, the village that has helped raise you. Let us guide them here into this space, right here, right now with us. And together we get to smile and acknowledge that our right here, right now is at different times. Thanks be. Thanks be. May we all ground and gather, those of us who are in this recording of this podcast, to those of us tuning into this podcast, and acknowledge that together we are gathering, grounding, healing, remembering. One big inhale together through the nose, open mouth clearing, remembering their names, the sovereignty, the divinity that resides within us and among us. Together we inhale, and together we exhale. Bowing our heads deep into our hearts so that we can be in reverence together, in inquiry together. May the sacred council help guide our words, steer our hearts, and allow us to be open to what we can discover and awaken within us and among us. With this, we can flicker our eyes open, allowing light to enter in and come back into the space with each other. And we have been having y'all listen to me talk forever and ever. So I'm going to actually pass the mic over to Maria so she can help provide for us her name, her pronouns, and many words that can help you all understand how she contributes to this healing world.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for that gracious mic pass and also that beautiful grounding. Again, my name is Maria Dautruche, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I seek to contribute loving truth, radical kindness, and just living to the world simply by embodying my own authentic humanity. I seek to feel, to wonder, to connect and create, to steward, to experience, and really just to be my whole self. I do this as a friend, as a wife, a Christian, a mom, a Black feminist, and an advocate for reproductive justice. Professionally, I am a coach, I'm a strategist, and I am a facilitator. Stephanie, what about you?
Oh, love you so much. Love being in this conversation with you. My name is Stefanie Tovar, and my pronouns are she or an ella. I arrive at this work as a first generation Mexicana Americana with a lot of pride and love in my heart, descended from healers and activists and artists of their own kind. So, and I self describe as a healing artist who's meant to help people ground into what is, process, metabolize, and alchemize what was so that we can together reach towards what is possible. And we do this through many healing modalities, including racial healing, sacred storytelling, with awareness as, if I'm in the company of people that are ready to get into some good trouble, there's a bit of playfulness that is a part of the loving disruption to help us arrive there.
Stephanie, I heard some language you used there that because I know you isn't new to me, but because of who you are, always brings me back into curiosity about what is Stephanie doing? And so I do know you to be a playful person. There are some other things I heard healing artist and your engagement in sacred storytelling. Can you just tell me a little bit more and share with all of us listening just what that really looks like for you and how does your playfulness show up in that work?
Yes, thank you for asking. So as a healing artist, I love to champion the fact that it's a way to disrupt the archetype that is healer, right? So I think with the word healer, there's this presumption that somebody has arrived on some sacred mountaintop and is ready to tell everybody else how to live their lives. That's not the case at all. As a healing artist, I acknowledge the fact that I am constantly in a state of healing and discovery, and that the more I heal externally, the more I'm called to heal internally. And through artistry, um, I do want to also speak to the fact that we are all healing artists. So everybody has a way in which we heal in our experience with the world, whether it's through the way we garden or the way we problem solve or the way in which, for me, every time I'm behind the harmonium or the Shruti box or in a piece of text to help communicate truth, these are the ways in which I get to be in healing relationship with the world and myself, seeing what's possible.
We're not set up for it, but I wish you could just break out your harmonium right now. Next
Same,
time.
same.
Next time we're in person together with audience or not, perhaps that's what the moment's calling us for.
Yes, yes.
But
Well, and well, speaking of conversation too, I wanted to ask about you as well.
hmm,
So, like, I heard you speak about radical kindness and also strategist, and then
hmm.
being a feminist and a person of reproductive justice. So, I'm really curious to hear about radical kindness and strategy. Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? What a good question, especially those two things together. So, radical anything, when I think of radical fill in the blank, I am almost always thinking back to the words and wisdom of Angela Davis. Radical means grasping at the root. And so, with kindness, that is a direct connection for me back to what it means to be human. I think that a core essential element of our humanity is to pursue that kindness, get at the root of what it takes for us to show one another empathy intentionally, maybe with some effort if it doesn't feel like it's coming naturally to you, which has been my experience. So I'll start there, right? Um, Doing the kind thing radically for me has often meant considering someone else's needs, if not in alignment with, then before my own. It has
Mm,
meant tapping into a core belief that there is good in the world and there are people seeking to do good in the world, that doesn't mean I turn a blind or naive eye to evil, but it means that I am looking for the good and believing it is there and calling it out. And in
Mm,
order to do that, I think effectively and sustainably, um, I've got to position and be present with others in a way that makes that possible. I fundamentally believe that if I come across and encounter unkindness, it's because something is out of alignment, because I'm calling in kindness all the time. And so
mm,
I might be encountering someone who is unfamiliar with what that looks and feels like, who might not feel safe to be kind. Kindness, I think, calls courage and vulnerability to show up as well. And so that radical kindness and its play with strategy is, I can think of working with clients, organizational clients, really, when I'm thinking about this, who want to implement a strategy. They want to implement a system or a set of policies that will govern and influence the daily operations of how their team is with one another. And oftentimes, what is missing from those strategies, particularly in the places we work and do work, is an intentional insertion of kindness. What would be the kindest thing we could do together? And I cannot speak for other people, but if you just take a moment and think, when was the last time you felt as if your employer, your supervisor, your team lead, or even your colleagues considered what the kindest thing they could do in a situation would be to solve a problem,
right.
to improve a process? Do you feel as if someone considered kindness? And when I'm working with my clients, I push for that. I invite them to
Mm,
consider, is this the kindest possible strategy that you could implement? Who would be most directly impacted? And have you invited them to offer their voice, experience without retaliation into this space?
mm,
Something I will say simple, but I know it's not because I've helped people make this decision. But as an example, so that it lands for folks, right? Having come out of the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and make the decision, what will our policies be moving forward for working remotely,
mm,
for hybrid work? Given all we have heard about people's experiences with it, how it has helped others, how it's been hard for others, what is it that we will do? And I heard from a team leader, from a leader of an organization who's no longer leading that organization now, but is still a great leader wherever they are. I think they're doing private consulting work now. They said that it was just a policy within their organization
mm,
to ensure that every single Black mother on staff could share how that policy would impact them. It was just a position they took. And I would say, well, that's super interesting, but also I think a nod to kindness, because whether that person is the receptionist or the chief marketing officer, there's a specific experience that we're calling forward before we decide, okay, we've made our decision. The three of us whose lives at the top of the organizational chart probably look and feel rather similar. We've intentionally invited another human experience into our decision making, and I think when you do that, it is an indication of kindness.
mm. I love that so much, Maria. And to me, it brings up the thought that radical kindness requires deep listening. And also it's a practice for sure. It's not something to just do, for the meeting. It's something to practice in our daily lives on the regular. And I think that's already something that we can all consider is how can we look for kindness and a way to respond to the world and to life with kindness. So thank you so much for that share.
Oh, of course, of course. It's definitely the deep listening. And as we think about this particular podcast episode, storytelling, collective healing, I think the listening is core and essential to that. And even as we prepared for our time together, there were some other consistent concepts that emerged. And maybe we can take just a minute to share our working definitions and approaches to some of these concepts. For me, I'm thinking about what healing even is. I love that you bring up kindness as a practice, but what healing even is. And I'd love to hear more about, you know, how you approach and also work with this universal kind of eternal practice and of storytelling. So, in the
Mm.
context of your work, in the context of just who you are, if you could share more about the storytelling, specifically your language of sacred storytelling, that's really feeling yummy
Mm.
to me.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Um, so whenever I enter a space, I come in with an awareness that we all carry within us stories, right? Stories of why things are the way they are, why we choose to embody, or why we embody ourselves the way we do, and the way that the world responds to us as a result, right? And then I come also with the awareness, again, healing artist, that I carry stories within me too. And so coming in with that awareness and coming in to just sense in and observe. So there is a deep listening that occurs there as well. Just witnessing what people are saying, but also tuning into what people are not saying and tuning into the body language of humans and sensing into even the ages of us. The older we are, I think we feel like we leave the ages that we've been behind us when really they're right there with us, um, wanting attention and wanting to be expressed in this world. And so I tune into the ages that are present within me. And is there a dominant age of the space? And so sometimes that's also why the playfulness comes into play because it's like, oh, like a lot of the people in this space are um, either they're activated from their, teenage self, and so, like, why not indulge and respond to that aspect of us and have that opportunity for us to be in that sense of radical play and belonging, because that belonging is what is gonna help us all, come to a place of restored wholeness and healing. I think people feel like healing and I think people tend to take healing and particularly trauma healing to a clinical lens and gets us very into um, just the just the it just bleaches out the whole human, I feel, rather than us getting into the storytelling helps us remember the ways in which our ancestors healed, which was through storytelling, which was in practices that helped us remember our sacredness. And so the sacred storytelling is us again, clearing out all of the out there, all that wants us to fall in line and behave a certain way, and to actively make the conscious choice to deepen our awareness to the sacred storyteller within. Like, what are the true stories? What are the ages that want to be released and be expressed in this moment in time for the sake of healing self and the collective? I hope that gets us close to
Yes, I think
understanding.
so. Even this idea of what age is there, like that, and taking a breath on that and thinking of how often life, because it's moving at various directions and times, you feel like, oh, if showing up as myself today, that must mean in the exact age I am. But what does that even mean? I've never been this age before. And maybe my strongest ideas and opinions and feelings about whatever this day will bring doesn't isn't sourced here. So I don't know. It's a very different way
Mm.
for me to walk away thinking about that. So thank you for that. I'm excited for that expansion of my own perspective. You always are teaching,
Mm.
Stephanie. Thank you.
Oh, no, I'm always healing too. It's just even hearing you listening and reflecting back is just it's so grounding and supportive. So thank you for being in conversation with me, Maria.
Of
Thank you
course.
so much.
I mean, I'm definitely fascinated by the stories that we believe and tell ourselves and how they influence how we behave. That
Mm.
line from belief to behavior has been an underscored bold line for me of late, that
Yes.
thread. And so, in service to individual and group healing, I completely agree with you that story is integral to how healing
Mhm.
happens and what role it plays in our community building. and our ability to display any type of resilience, I think, comes from the memory and meaning making that happens when we tell stories together. Um,
Mhm.
and so I've been pushing myself to make up a whole new term, but which might not even be a new made up term, right? But to define what I mean when I say to other people that I'm working toward collective liberatory wellness. Because this is what's activating me right now. This belief that collective liberatory wellness is possible and that it's necessary. And I know that I'm pulling from some influences like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s concept of the beloved community. You mentioned belonging. And so I'm also like pulling in some of John Powell's deep work of belonging from the Othering and Belonging Institute and work he's done even before then about belonging. And also just this ancient and eternal and universal human experience of being together. And in a way, through my work, I think I'm just trying to articulate what do I exactly and explicitly mean by this pursuit of collective liberatory wellness.
Mhm.
Especially now, because that last word there, wellness, I'm not going to let it
Exactly.
go. I thought about letting
Exactly.
it go, Stephanie, because
No, no, you unpack it. You talk
because
to us about wellness.
the people, they come in and they take our words and we let it happen, sometimes with
Mhm.
great fight, and sometimes because we're creative, we just go, okay, take that word, we'll go pick up another word. But the language matters, and I'm not letting wellness go. I define wellness as the experience and the pursuit of optimal and desired health across various
Mm.
aspects of life, right? So your physical health, your spiritual health, your social health, emotional, psychological, financial, environmental. That's all your whole health to me. Um, and what's interesting when I work with folks, especially individually in coaching, is, and particularly with Black, Indigenous people of the global majority and global South, like when I'm working with folks of these origins and these diasporas, I'm fascinated by how much tripping up is happening over the desired. Right, because
Mm.
I put that in the definition because I think being clear on what you want is also a part of wellness, right? Like,
Passionate, yes.
just because someone says, that having a healthy body means that it's a certain size and shape and maybe even color, um, that doesn't mean that that's what you desire for your body. It just means you're inundated with messaging telling you to pursue that. So I really lean in on like, what do you actually want, right? And it fascinates me how uh, detached from desires people are. We need them. I think they're a core part of our human existence to have these desires. But nevertheless, if you have not already, anyone listening, like if you have not already thought of what is my actual desired health,
Mhm.
like what is my healthy living look like that's a core question for me, but it reminds me of this central question that Tony K. Bambara asks in The Salt Eaters, a book I cannot get through by myself. So if anyone wants
Yeah.
to pick it up and read it together,
Same.
feel
Let's do it.
free. Cannot do it alone. But that question is, are you sure, sweetheart, that you want to be well? Just so as you're sure, sweetheart, and ready to be healed, because wholeness is no trifling matter. A lot of
Mm.
weight when you're well. And that's where the quote for me ends in that very early part of the book, actually, and just frames for me how she's talking about her own healer character in that book. And I think that the wellness industry, particularly in the United States, the UK, Canada, um, and other parts of other countries around the world, that industry has also divorced itself from the idea of wholeness and responsibility and
Mhm.
accountability to each other to maintain that wholeness, and really focused on this individual pursuit of goals that almost always require some level of consumerism and subscription. And yeah, my holding on to wellness is saying, no, 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 I'm for the wellness that we've known for generations, the wellness that calls us into community, the wellness that calls us into accountability, the wellness that has a weight to it, right? That has a little movement and work that we're going to have to do because we will change, our environments will change, and even this idea of what is well that might shift as well. So we've got to be committed and tenacious, but also a little fluid and open to those things, those shifts.
Mm. I love so much that you speak to the movement because I'm over here bouncing at my seat, like just really feeling all the words that you're sharing about wellness and the fact that um, eh, yeah, just awakened so much in me, particularly as we speak to what are your actual desires and what do you wish for? As a first generation Latina, and I've spoken to other first gen people in particular, a lot of us are here with the American dream very present within us. And a lot of like this propaganda that was fed about, just come here and work hard and this is what's going to be delivered to you. This is what's promised to you, but and then simultaneously witnessing, as we witness systemic oppression and the way things are as they actually are, it's certainly impacted my own family. Just the fallacy that resides within that, and then so a lot of my work at times too is about lovingly disrupting what we perceive to be true. To actually ground into the truth and go, okay, well, forget the American dream. What is your dream? What is your actual dream?
Mm.
And then thinking about that in the lens of wellness and are you sure you want to be well, sweetheart, is acknowledging the fact that we need to put some things down and some identifiers that we've had may need to fall away in order for us to actually be free.
Mm. You and these words, Stephanie. I went somewhere, you brought me back. I came back, but definitely the moment you opened this idea of like, I've been lovingly disrupting. I'm like, oh, have you been? It's juicy. I want to like tear that up like a jelly donut, lovingly disrupting. What? More of that, please. But yeah, that's a lot to chew on. And it's a good question. Are you sure you want to be well? What is your desire? And love and respect to everyone out there fighting for these things we can know and see and measure in our
Mhm.
world, right? Like these campaigns and this work toward equitable health ecosystems, right? Like health equity. I think that's a part of it. And then there's something even also around it that I hope, individually contribute to and in the aggregate kind of collectively access, right? That collective liberatory wellness, that
Yeah.
also, right? Adjacent to the health equity, but also like that is a thing that feels like a loving disruption also perhaps.
Absolutely. Ah,
To learn more, look for part 2 on our website, nationalcollaborative.org/hope in action.